Welcome back to the 24th floor. We've talked high school football. We've checked in with Memphis. Yep. Now let's head down to I-55 to Oxford.
Man, it's going to be bumping down there this year.
Yes.
There's a lot different things going around Ole Miss football right now, but there are also some familiar faces trying to keep things rolling.
And this week, we're zeroing in on the defense because we talk a lot about offense with my guy. Ooh, my voice. I'm still recovering from Atlanta. My guy Trinidad Chambliss and Keywan Lacey.
Yep.
We got to talk about the defense. Brian Brown, the defensive coordinator, says the Rebels have had some ups and downs through camp, but their first scrimmage gave the coaching staff something they really needed. And that's a chance to find out who can handle things when the coaches aren't there to help. Take a listen.
Yeah, I think that first scrimmage that we just had, it was a little ups and downs. We played a lot of guys and was able to see the guys that we really needed to see that haven't really been in the environment, in the stadium, no coaches on the field and things of that nature. So we was able to see what we need to see, who can communicate without, coaches on the field, who can play and make plays, out on the field.
I think that's interesting. Who can function when the coach isn't sitting there telling you what you need to do? So who's really retaining the information? What do you think about all of that? Because I feel like when you're on the field, it's a lot of information, especially on defense, especially when you got that green dot that you got to retain to know when to audible and this, that, and the third.
So, there's each section has a person making a call, right? Linebackers get a call from the mic, and the safeties get a call, and the linemen get a call. But overall, what you're really talking about is they're saying, hey, we just wanted to see who actually understands how to play football. When we're not out there holding their hands, because they're not going to be out there holding your hands in the game, who's going to be able to go out there and make the play, communicate with their teammates, and get things done the way they need to. I think you have to do that a lot because people can look really good in a controlled environment. You can look like an All-American in a controlled scrimmage or a controlled environment where you're the linebacker hitting this hole that the running back is coming through. We want to see how you attack the tackling. That you can look great doing that. Mm-hmm. But then once the live scrimmage comes and coach is not telling you where the ball is going to go and what you have to do next, when you're having to make the read when the slot guy goes into motion. Mm-hmm. You're having to read, are we following him or are we staying zone? If we stay zone, is the safety got my back? Is the linebacker shifting? How are we doing that? Those are the things you can't figure out until you do it live.
So scrimmages exposes a lot of things.
Oh, man. Yeah, so again, when you go to scrimmaging and you're letting people get tackled and letting people tackle, you start to figure out who can make plays.
Yeah.
Who can deliver the ball when needed? Which running backs can hit the hole the hardest? Again, everybody looks great in drill work. Mm-hmm. Drill work can be deceiving because you can look really good in drill work, but once you go live, then you get to see how everybody really handles the pressure.
Now, I think with Ole Miss, a lot is made about their line and their linebackers, but a question mark for them that's always been something, especially like last season, was their secondary. Their secondary. I remember I was at several games where corners they just get beat. So Brown, now he's the guy over that since Pete Golden has moved up to head coach. He says that secondary is still a work in progress and needs more consistency. But some injuries, Ruben, have at least created more reps for potential backups. And reason that's important, because remember, the leader of Ole Miss was originally a backup. So maybe Ole Miss has a hidden gem again on the defensive side that's a backup.
Usually, who your dogs. Defense and offense are different in that way. You know who your dogs are on defense. It's not a question. The corners who lock in, lock up, and are aggressive on every rep, that guy's going to lock up every time. Sorry, I lost my IFB there. The safeties who read the play from beginning to end. Those guys, that's not a mystery. Those guys are not a mystery. On offense, sometimes you can have a hidden gem because the guy just hasn't had a chance to carry the ball much, right? Yeah. And then he finally gets the ball in his hand, and you're like, oh, that dude can really run. Not the same as much on defense. You kind of know who your dogs are. So if you're having to get backups ready, that doesn't necessarily bode well for the secondary, right?
So would you say you're concerned about the secondary?
I would say,
if he's already said there's injuries to his main guys?
Yes, at some point they may have to invest some more of that NIL money on the defensive side. The big thing used to be,
at least in the defensive back.
Yeah,
they put a lot on them linemen.
Yeah, but that secondary is going to need some investment. Mm-hmm. You're an old Big 12 guy, just like me, because you went to Oklahoma State. Mm-hmm. The old knock used to be that in the Big 12,
no defense,
all offense.
Yes.
But the SEC,
all defense, no offense.
100%. That was
except running back.
That was always the perception, right? That the SEC was always focused on athleticism and defense, and they could create offense.
Yeah.
But in the Big 12, they had to create offense, and they just were hoping they could outscore you.
Yeah,
right?
literally. Literally the OSU team. I remember my senior year, it was bedlam. It was Mason Rudolph versus Baker Mayfield. Both them dudes went for like 400 yards, 4 touchdowns. I was like, oh my God, can we just stop somebody for us drive? But staying on defense up front, you know, it's solid. Ole Miss did lose some pass rush production this offseason. So who replaces it, especially because some of those key guys followed Kiffin at LSU? Well, Brown basically said, don't look for one guy to do it.
Well, I think just doing it as a group, you know, I think the whole front, you know, the second level guys, you know, that if we end up blitzing those guys as well, the edges. But I think just from up front, I think we're doing it as a group.
Now, we'll do it as a group. That sounds good here in August, but eventually it's got to be a guy who gets to the quarterback.
That doesn't sound good here in August.
We got to do it as a group, not one guy. We, as a group, swarm. I like that swarm.
Listen, I want to hear my coach say, we got Bob Smith as a dog, Chad Brown as a dog. You know, like, I want him to just.
He said, no, Ollie.
I want him to say, this dude right here, this dude right here, and this dude right here are future All-Americans. They're going to get it done. Like, we're solid up front because these guys aren't playing around. When you tell me we're going to do it as a group.
Like bees swarming.
That sounded to me like he's saying, hey, we're going to be mixing and matching dudes in there, and everybody's going to get a chance to make plays. And not to say that they're not going to have those playmakers, but, you know, at this point in the game, you know, everybody knows who the playmakers are on offense. And we're still waiting to hear who the playmakers are going to be on defense.
Yeah.
Who's going to make those plays? And I think Ole Miss fans might be a little bit nervous about, we're going to score 100 points because you got one of the best offenses in the country.
Yeah.
But if we don't have the defense to match, how does that work?
So pass rush by committee is not enough in the SEC.
You got to have a guy, bro. You got to have a guy that people have to double team. You have to have a guy that you know is going to win that matchup every time. Almost every great SEC defense has had one of those guys where the dude lines up and you're like, that guy can't stop that dude. They have to have a plan to stop that guy. Who is that guy going to be for Ole Miss?
Well, I'm glad that you said that, because if there is a guy, there's a guy that Mr. Brown did make a lot of noise about, and that is Keaton Thomas. The Rebels are high on him. He's a senior from Jacksonville. He can get to the quarterback. Take a listen to what Brown had to say about him.
Really, really tough. Very, very great competitor. Loves the game. Is always up here watching film. And I mean, immediately you'll see him up here in a second. I mean, he's up there watching film. The whole linebacker crew are, not just him. But he's hungry. He's really, really hungry to prove that he belongs in this league.
Now, that's what I want to hear.
Yeah.
That's what I want to hear.
Yeah, because Ole Miss, I mean, the only defensive returner that I could think of, and I know we normally have Steve in for this, is Will Eccles. And he's one of the vocal leaders, but what stood out to me in listening to this presser is Keaton Thomas was the one who has been the more vocal leader. He's relatively new to the team.
Everybody's new to the teams anymore, right? So I take the new and the old away. It's not like it used to be back in the day when we were watching college football growing up, which is, you know, your guy came to your team and he stuck it out. You know, Mason Rudolph was there his whole time, right?
Yeah.
It's not like that anymore. So a guy coming in, what sticks out to me in that soundbite is that he's in there watching film every day trying to prove that he belongs in the league. People like that, that's what I want to hear. I want to hear, okay, we got a guy who wants to make sure everybody knows he's the guy. When you hear that, I'm like, okay, well, now we're going to be all right. Now you're going to be all right there because you got a guy.
Now, you talked about the portal and how you kind of got to throw it out the window. How important still is vocal leadership when you bring in those portal pieces? Because, like, kind of switching it over to basketball. Like, remember with Memphis basketball, Doug McDaniel ended up being the vocal leader, and he was the new guy, but it felt like it didn't hit the same because you don't know the program. So even though I like that he's talking about Keaton, and of course he did talk about Will, still at the end of the day, the locker room could be like, but you haven't been here, though, before, so why should I really listen to you compared to a guy who's been here? I
would say that you probably have to look around the locker room and say about half of the guys haven't been there.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? If vocal leadership can only come from somebody who's got tenure there, then you're never going to have vocal leadership, because sometimes the guys who are there may not even be the best guys on the squad.
True.
You know, a guy may be retained because he's a great kid, a good, you know, backup who, you know, always practices hard, has good grades, keeps the GPA up, you know, that kind of thing. He could be up there for several reasons. Who in the world is blowing my phone up? But you bring in a guy who's going to be a playmaker, most people respect production, especially in football, and in basketball too, right? People respect production. Use LeBron as an example. LeBron was a baby in the league, but his production allowed him to be a vocal leader. What are you going to say to the dude? He's putting up numbers. So to that point, if Keaton is up there producing, and he sounds like he's producing by putting in the work right now before the games have even started. He's in the film room. He's working out every time. He's encouraging his teammates to be in the film room with him. People follow that kind of stuff. We're going to listen to that.
What do you think is the difference, and I had to make a note about this, the difference between collecting experienced players and actually creating a defense cohesively? Because you can put together a group of talented individuals and they may not gel compared to getting guys who feel with each other, like can go together.
I will just say, look at Memphis basketball last year. That will give you all of the answers you need. A group of talented individuals who never were cohesive.
Yeah.
Could never buy into what the coach wanted, could never do their job. It just did not work. So creating cohesion is a lot of what they do when none of us are around. When they're doing team activities and going to dinner and watching movies and playing games and playing PlayStation together. They're doing all that stuff when nobody's around to create that cohesion. And they usually do it in groups. The linemen are together, the linebackers are together, the secondaries together. So in this day and age in this game, you have to go get talented players and then teach them how to be cohesive to work under what you want. And I personally think that in this portal era, coaches have to be they have to scrutinize players more. You have to okay, you look great on film, but I need to find out, do you know how to buy in? If you don't know how to buy in, then you can't come here because you're not going to want to do what we want you to do. And initially, everybody's going to say, yeah, coach, so I'm going to buy in for the right price. But can you really find the dudes who buy in? And if you do, then you can have a good season. If you can't, then you're going to have Memphis Tigers basketball from last year.
You always got to find a way to throw shade at Memphis Tigers. You did not like that squad last year.
I did not respect the way they played basketball and the way they played for Coach Penny.
Yeah.
I'm just going to say, you got a legend coaching you, bro.
Yeah.
You got a dude who knows everything there is to know about how to get you where you want to be. And none of y'all you can't even show up to practice on time? They having to find you because you ain't coming to practice? Why you getting paid?
NIL world.
Get out of here, bro.
I got one more soundbite I want us to listen to, and that brings us to the bigger question about this Ole Miss defense. Now, last year they took their lumps, but the year before where they didn't make the playoffs was a generational, talented defensive group. That 2024 Ole Miss defense was good. I'm talking about, I think they only allowed 80 rushing yards a game, 14 points a game. So does this group have a chance to be as good as that group? Brown isn't ready to say that, but he's not ruling it out either. Take a listen.
That group in 24 was really, really talented, and I think this group is, we have a lot of talent. I think we got a little bit more depth, especially up front. And I think secondary-wise, we got a little bit of depth as well. So, I wouldn't say that, right now, say, hey, they're going to be better than that group. We have a chance to be, for sure, if we do things right and we do our job and we execute at a high level.
So once again, Ruben, 14 points a game, 80 rushing yards. That was second in the country. They led the country with just about 9 tackles for a loss and 4 sacks a game. That was third nationally.
I'm gonna tell you one of the reasons.
Generational.
One of the reasons they may not be able to do that, be better than that, is because your offense is going to be too good.
Yeah.
When your offense is that good and they can score that often, then who's on the field more often?
The offense.
The defense.
Oh, the defense. Oh, yeah, I get what you're saying.
So that offense.
But LSU was able to do it.
Well,
with the Joe Burrow team.
What I'm saying is that might be what keeps them from being able to put up those kind of numbers. It's because the offense is going to be so good that defense is going to play, 2/3 of the game. That offense is going to be, Chambliss is going to have them scoring in 2 minutes, right? And so that defense is back out. So your depth is going to be important, and you're just more chances to give up points. So.
It's going to be interesting. Ole Miss kicks things off in Nashville against Louisville. That will be our first look at them. We're still begging the bosses to send me there. We will keep an eye on that. But we've talked enough football for one show. Coming up, we're ending things the way we always do.
The best, you get it. The best thing we saw.
We just all losing our voice. Yeah. We only got 4 minutes to do it. My voice is gone. His voice is gone. We got to make it count. Best thing I saw is next on the 24th floor.